Let the drums roll out. Let the trumpet call while the people shout, strike up the band. Hear the cymbals ring, calling one and all to the martial swing, strike up the band. There is work to be done, to be done. There's a war to be won, to be won. Come on, you son of a gun. Take your stand, fall in line, ye bow. Come along, let's go. Hey leaders, strike up the band. Good evening and welcome to our first concert of the 71st season of the St. Genevieve Municipal Band. What you just heard was the full version of Strike Up the Band. We usually play an abbreviated version at each concert, but Strike Up the Band was actually composed by George and Ira Gershwin, which you'll hear more of very soon, I promise, for the 1927 musical Strike Up the Band, and it was based on a book by George S. Kaufman. This musical has two different versions because the first, performed in Philadelphia, was unsuccessful due to its satirical attitude on warfare and politics. It was revised and opened on Broadway in 1930 with a successful run of 191 performances. In the initial plot, an American cheese company gets the U.S. government to declare war on Switzerland in a bid to increase sales. So that was a little bit about Strike Up the Band. For our next piece, we have the 92nd Flourish for Wind Band by Vaughan Williams. Written in 1939, Flourish for Wind Band was intended as an overture for a pageant, and in the decade following its premiere was lost. In 1971, the score resurfaced and was finally published. Vaughan Williams' music has often been said to be characteristically English, in the same way as that of Gustav Holst, hint you'll hear that later, Frederick Delius, George Butterworth, and William Walton. In Albion, The Origins of the English Imagination, Peter Ackroyd writes, "If that Englishness in music can be encapsulated in words at all, those words would probably be ostensibly familiar and commonplace, yet deep and mystical, as well as lyrical, melodic, melancholic, and nostalgic, yet timeless." Ackroyd quotes music critic John Alexander Fuller Maitland as having observed that in Vaughan Williams' style, one is never quite sure whether one is listening to something very old or very new. I hope you enjoy this short and powerful piece, Flourish for Wind Band. Our next piece, As Summer Was Just Beginning, is dedicated to the late film actor James Dean by composer Larry Dane. James Dean experienced an incredibly bright and equally brief movie career. In just 16 months, he made 3 blockbuster movies, East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, and Giant. Only the first had been released when Dean was killed in a car accident in 1955 at the age of 24. For 3 years after his death, Warner Brothers received more letters to him than any living actor. A bronze bust of Dean by artist Kenneth Kendall stands near Griffith Park Observatory in Los Angeles, California. There is a Greek inscription on the right shoulder from which the title of this composition is derived. Translated, the inscription reads, "As summer was just beginning," which is concerning the death of a young person. The composer writes, "The melody for the piece comes from a British folk song, 'The winter is past and the summer is here at last.' This simple, bittersweet melody seemed appropriate for remembering James Dean." next piece, this is something you will never hear at a concert, but y'all in the audience are allowed and encouraged to take out your cellular devices if they're smart and like the St. Genevieve Municipal Band Facebook page. Yes, there is one. Just type in St. Genevieve Municipal Band on your Facebook app and please like us. That would be really great. Do it now or you might forget. So that's right, take your phones out even though it's a concert and like the Facebook page. Our next piece, Hoop-de-Doo Polka, is a polka written by Milton DeLuke with words by Frank Loesser. It was recorded in 1950 by Perry Como and the Fontaine Sisters, Kay Starr, Russ Morgan and his orchestra, and Doris Day with the Mellow Men. This piece has also been recorded by Tennessee Ernie Ford, the Ames Brothers, Frankie Yankovic, Lynn Marie, Joey Miskulin, and Bobby Vinton, the Wiggles, Lawrence Welk, Jimmy Sturr, and Myron Florin. The lyrics of this song are as follows. Hoop-de-doo, I hear a polka and my troubles are through. Hoop-de-doo, this kind of music is like heaven to me. Hoop-de-doo, it's got me higher than a kite. Hand me down my soup and fish. The use of the phrase soup and fish, meaning a man's formal dinner suit, is commonly thought to have originated with P.G. Wodehouse's Bertie Wooster's stories. But other sources believe the phrase is much older. Feel free to tap your toes and sing along to the endearing polka Hoop-de-Doo, and like our Facebook page. for military band is considered one of the cornerstone masterworks in the concert band repertoire. Officially premiered in 1920 at the Royal Military School of Music, the manuscript was originally completed in 1909 by British composer Gustav Holst. Until this time, no serious music had yet been composed specifically for the band medium. This is where Holst set himself apart with the first suite in E-flat for military band. The suite contains 3 movements. First, the chaconne in 3/4 time, which you will be hearing this evening. The second movement is the intermezzo, which is a little bit lighter and faster, and it features oboe and clarinet, but we're not going to hear that tonight. And then the third movement is a march characterized by the call and response between brass and woodwinds. Most of you are probably familiar with it, but you're not going to hear it once again. So please enjoy the first movement of the first suite in E-flat for military band. Our next piece comes from the 1934 folk opera Porgy and Bess by George Gershwin. Summertime is a lazy blues lullaby sung by the character Clara in the opening act of the opera. From the lyrics of So Hush Little Baby to the slow, thick jazz blend, Gershwin captures the music style of the southeastern life in the U.S. in the early 20th century. Please enjoy Calvin Custer's arrangement of Summertime. We'll hear Band at the Opera, as arranged by Joseph Campello. A melody of 4 famous opera songs, this piece includes selections from the Toreador Song from Carmen, Vesti la Juba from Pagliacci, the Anvil Chorus from Il Trovatore, and the William Tell Overture finale from William Tell. I'll give you some background for each of these pieces. The Toreador Song from Carmen is sung by a matador and describes various situations in the bullfighting ring, the cheering of the crowds, and the fame that comes from victory. Vesti la Juba is sung at the end of the first act of Pagliacci, when Canio discovers his wife's infidelity, but must nevertheless prepare for his performances as Pagliaccio, the clown, because the show must go on. The anvil chorus from Il Trovatore depicts Spanish gypsies striking their anvils at dawn and singing the praises of hard work, good wine, and their gypsy women. Finally, the William Tell Overture is an ultra-dynamic cavalry charge gallop heralded by trumpets. This segment is often used in popular media to denote galloping horses or heroes riding to the rescue, and it became the Lone Ranger theme music. I hope you enjoy this piece, Band at the Opera.
Our next piece is an interesting arrangement of School's Out by Alice Cooper. This song was sung as Alice Cooper's first major single, reaching number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 Pop Singles chart. Billboard ranked it as the number 75 song for 1972, but in Britain, the song went to number 1 on the UK singles chart that summer. The inspiration for the song came from answering the question, what's the greatest 3 minutes of your life? Cooper's response was, there's 2 times during the year. One is Christmas morning when you're getting ready to open the presents. The next one is the last 3 minutes of the last day of school, when you're sitting there and it's like a slow fuse burning. I said, if we can catch that 3 minutes in a song, it's going to be so big. As some of you may know, the lyrics indicate that not only is the school year ended for the summer vacation, but ended forever, as in the school itself had been blown up. The original song even ends with a school bell sound that fades out. As you can imagine, teachers, parents, principals, counselors, and psychologists shunned this song and demanded several radio stations to ban the song from ever being played on the air. In fact, a few radio stations did ban it from their airwaves, stating that the song gave the students a negative impression of rebelliousness against childhood education. On a much happier note, the arrangement you are about to hear begins with the familiar graduation tune, Pomp and Circumstance, to set the stage of maybe a high school senior's summer experience. Please enjoy this arrangement of School's Out. Called The Trombone King, composed by low-brass master Carl King. As you probably guessed, this piece features the trombones. Composer Carl King grew up as a self-taught musician with very little schooling of any kind. At 18, he began a career playing in and directing circus bands, including those of Barnum and Bailey, Robinson Famous Shows, the Sells Floto Circus, and Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show. King settled down in Fort Dodge, Iowa in 1920, and for the next 51 years conducted the city's municipal band. King published more than 300 works, gallops, waltzes, overtures, serenades, rags, and 188 marches and screamers. He seemed to like composing under pressure and often composed in tight spots, such as by an oil lamp in cramped circus tents. I hope you enjoyed The Trombone King. Our guest conductor tonight is from Bloomsdale, Missouri, and former member of the Municipal Band from the store called What's Knots and Oddities. Please welcome to the podium Amelia Grass Whitaker. There's a time in each year that we always hold dear, good old summertime. With the birds and the trees and sweet scented breezes, good old summertime. When your workday is over, then you're in a clover, and life is one beautiful rhyme. No trouble annoying, each one is enjoying the good old summertime. And the good old summertime is considered an American Tin Pan Alley song. It was first published in 1902 with music by George Evans and lyrics by Ren Shields. Tin Pan Alley is what we call the collection of New York City music publishers and songwriters of American popular music from about 1885 into the early 1900s. It actually referred to a specific place, West 28th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue in Manhattan. This was the home of a good number of music publishers. Some think the name refers to the sound of many pianos testing new music, comparing them to the banging of tin pans. But others claim it arose from physical modifications of the piano to produce a more percussive sound. Eventually, the term came to refer to the U.S. music industry in general. In the Good Old Summertime became extremely popular, and as a result, had many artists recording it, including John Philip Sousa's band in 1903. Many of you are also probably familiar with the Judy Garland film named after it. It was also featured in many television programs, including an early Mickey Mouse cartoon from 1930 called The Picnic, in an episode of Arthur on PBS titled Tipping the Scales, and in the 1930 Laurel and Hardy show short called Below Zero, in which it is sung during a snowstorm, ironically. Feel free to sing along to In the Good Old Summertime, arranged by George F. Briegel. force in popular music. He is considered to be the third most successful adult contemporary artist ever on the Billboard chart, behind Barbra Streisand and Elton John. Diamond was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1984 and into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2011. Tonight we'll hear a powerful medley of some of his best-known hits as arranged by Ted Ricketts. This arrangement includes bits from Diamond's hits America, Sweet Caroline, You Don't Bring Me Flowers, Cherry Cherry, and I'm a Believer. Sing along to this fun medley, pop and rock legends Neil Diamond. veterans, we have a Sousa March for the fanatics out there also. Washington Post was written by Sousa in 1889. Since then, it has remained one of his most popular marches throughout the U.S. and many countries abroad. In 1889, owners of the Washington Post newspaper requested that Sousa, the leader of the United States Marine Corps Band, compose a march for the newspaper's essay contest award ceremony. Sousa obliged. The Washington Post March was introduced at the ceremony on June 15, 1889, and it became quite popular. It led a British journalist to dub Sousa the March King. Sousa is honored in the Washington Post building for his contribution to the newspaper and his country. I hope you enjoyed this Sousa March, Washington Post.
enjoy the St. Genevieve Municipal Band. Let's give them all a round of applause. I'd also like to thank any other individual or organization who has supported the Muni Band in any way. Let's give them also a hand. If you enjoyed tonight's performance, be sure to let Mr. Mooney or any of the players know what a great job they did, and be sure to come out again next Thursday for our second concert of the